So you're moving to St. Louis, you're looking at places to live, which suburb you might want to live in, and you're looking at Fenton. Well, good news for you, in this video today, we are talking all about what it's like to live in Fenton, Missouri. So let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Living St. Louis channel. My name is Jacob Peistrup. Glad to have you here today. So Fenton, Missouri. Fenton is a suburb in St. Louis County, located in South County. I think this is actually the first video I've done focusing on an area in South County. So Fenton is an area in the south of St. Louis County, right on the border down south with Jefferson County. The median sold price over the last 6 months of a house in Fenton is right at $256,000. So as far as home prices, Fenton is more or less on par with the rest of the St. Louis area. Now with the houses in Fenton, some of them will be incorporated in the municipality of Fenton and some of them will be unincorporated. And this is something you see more in South County than you do in West County. So in West County, everything is pretty much incorporated. Every house is in some municipality. In South County, you have a lot more where it's either incorporated or unincorporated. You have a decent mix between both. So if you're purchasing in South County, you're not always within a municipality that you have to deal with. So some places will be unincorporated, but still within the Fenton area. So you could be incorporated, you could be unincorporated, just kind of depends on which part of town you're talking about. Now there's some really cool stuff to see in Fenton, and in some places the views are insane. So Fenton has the Gravois Bluffs Plaza, which is a huge commercial shopping area up on the bluffs. You drive up the hill to get up there, and once you're up there, you're looking over the Merrimack River, all of Fenton. I mean, you can see for miles once you're up there. Gravois Bluffs has pretty much everything you need. I mean, you're gonna have your Walmart, there's a Target, JCPenney, TJ Maxx, there's a Pottery Barn outlet, there's a movie theater, grocery stores, shopping, food, entertainment, pretty much all your big brand stores and shopping needs that you might have. There's a Club Fitness up there, a Chevy dealership, there's a bunch of restaurants and places to eat, both sit down, more casual eating, and also your fast food places. There's a self-storage area, some commercial space up there, just plenty of options to go run some errands and do your shopping for a day in Fenton. So there's just an absolute ton of stuff going on up there. This huge shopping center, you can't miss it driving by. It's this huge place up on the bluffs. You'll see the signs for it as well. It's right on the corner between Route 30 and 141, so pretty central. I mean, like I said, it's easy to get to and you really can't miss the place. Like I said, you got plenty of options for food up there, so if you want something more grab and go, fast food, there's a Sonic, there's a Lion's Choice, there's Qdoba. If you want something that's more sit down but still pretty casual, you got plenty of choice. I mean, oh my gosh, there's an IHOP up there, Red Robin, Buffalo Wild Wings, there's an Olive Garden. Like, how can you not enjoy that? You know what I mean? I mean, let's be real, you're not gonna have your fine high-end dining up there, but I mean, if you want something casual, just a fun place to go with friends or family for a night, those are 4 great options, at least if you ask me. Maybe I have poor taste, it's okay, you can tell me. But I mean, those are 4 great places to eat, and those are just the ones that I mentioned. And like I said, you're up there on the bluffs, you're up looking out over the Merrimack River, over Fenton, just really cool views if you ask me. Don't freak out, but there's also a Chili's around the corner from the bluffs. I know, it's great, just fine American cuisine if you ask me. Like when I get clients in town shopping for houses upwards of $1.3 million, we're going to Chili's. Like, don't you worry, I'm taking you guys out for dinner, we're going to Chili's, we're gonna have a great time, do not worry. I'm joking about the Chili's thing. Unless you like it, unless you wanna go to Chili's, I don't care, I'll take you to Chili's. We'll go wherever you wanna go. Maybe you prefer Olive Garden, doesn't matter to me. I mean, wherever we go, we're gonna have a great time. In all seriousness, the Gravois Bluffs is a huge benefit to living in Fenton, or at least close to it. I mean, there's a Target, there's a grocery store, there's your Walmart, there's plenty of food options all right next to each other, so it's very convenient. One of the oldest parts of Fenton is gonna be the Old Town Fenton along Main Street, which is right next to the Merrimack River. It's about 8 square blocks, and this is one of the oldest parts of town. It's small, but there's a couple shops and restaurants right there, so that's Old Town Fenton, just a small, older part of town. Everything that's newer built is kind of built around it, including the Bluffs, which is across the street on the other side of 141 from Old Town Fenton. Fenton has a lot of residential areas, commercial space like the Gravois Bluffs, and industrial space too. Office spaces, warehouses, manufacturing, storage, industrial yards. You can see all that if you take some of the back roads through Fenton, or if you go down towards the industrial center of Fenton, which is where you got a lot of businesses and companies located in Fenton that use the industrial and office space down there. I don't think I've really done a video on this channel before talking more about the industrial and commercial side of places in St. Louis, but Fenton is one of those areas where, you got your residential areas with neighborhoods and subdivisions, and you also got, commercial space and a bunch of industrial space for companies, businesses, warehouses, facilities, that kind of stuff. So it's very residential in some parts where you have just plain houses and subdivisions, and then you got your industrial spaces located closer towards the main roads, so I-44, Route 30, you'll see a bunch of industrial and corporate space in Fenton. So like I said before, Fenton is on the border with Jefferson County, so it's pretty south in St. Louis County, but it's still a pretty busy area. I wouldn't really call Fenton a rural part of town. If you want rural, I'd say you go further south into Jefferson County. If you want a place like High Ridge or House Springs, that's where you will see more rural living. Fenton, I'd say, is pretty suburban. Some people might say it's rural. I wouldn't really say so. I mean, I think you have much more rural options than Fenton when it comes to living in St. Louis. If you go further outside the city limits and drive down south into Jefferson County, it's going to be more rural, but I'd say that Fenton is pretty much suburban. It's a very suburban area. It might look more rural in some parts, but it's still a pretty developed, pretty busy part of town. Earlier last year, I got a gym membership at a gym that was in Jefferson County. It was in Murphy, so technically not in Fenton. It's basically right next to Fenton, but in Jefferson County. The reason I had that going on was because right after the lockdown and everything in April, St. Louis County was one of the last places to open up and lift restrictions on COVID precautions and that kind of stuff. So restaurants and gyms and that kind of stuff opened a lot sooner in Jefferson County than St. Louis County. So I drove down there and snagged a gym membership as close to my house as I could. So I started working out down in Jefferson County in Fenton, or not Fenton, in Murphy, which is right next to it, because it's like 20 minutes away from my house, but that's all that was open. They had, more lenient restrictions on just stuff that you could do. And then I got COVID 6 months later in November. It was around Thanksgiving time of 2020, and then it's been fine since then. But that's why I started working out down in Jefferson County, because they just had more stuff to do. Living in Fenton is going to feel a lot more rural to you than living in an area like Clayton or Central West End, one of those very urban areas of town. But I mean, it's still overall very suburban. Wouldn't really say that it's a rural area. Fenton is about 30 minutes outside St. Louis City, so it's not super far away either. It's about 20 miles outside the city, so it's about a 30-minute commute to get to St. Louis City from there, which isn't that bad. I mean, that's the same distance as going to Chesterfield, but with Chesterfield, you go west. Fenton is just further south. So it's not as removed from the city as it might look if you're looking at it on a map, and you got I-44 going right through Fenton, which will take you directly into St. Louis City if you take it east. Real estate in Fenton varies a lot as far as price. I'd say most of the options you're going to see are going to be below the $400,000 price point. You have options in higher price points, just below $400,000 seems to be the biggest price range in Fenton. Like if you want to buy an $80,000 condo, you'll find that. If you want to buy a $1.5 million house in Fenton, you will see that too. The biggest price range in Fenton tends to be between $200,000 and $300,000, and like I said before, the median price point is $256,000, so that range is pretty popular in Fenton. So they're pretty much on par with the rest of the St. Louis area. They're pretty average. They're not an area where you're going to see ridiculously high median home prices like Ladue or Clayton, an area like that. So they're not as expensive as some parts of St. Louis County. If you want to see something really cool though, one of the biggest houses I've seen in Fenton is this huge place that sits up on a hill off of 141. It's overlooking the Merrimack River, overlooking, the bluffs and all of Fenton. I'm sure the views from there are absolutely beautiful. I always see it all lit up at night. I have no idea what the interior looks like. I'm sure it's beautiful, but there aren't any pictures of it. I can see who owns it and that it's about 15,000 square feet big and that they pay around $58,000 a year in property taxes, so there's that. But either way, the place is incredible. Don't get me wrong, that is not the average house you will see in Fenton whatsoever. Overall, Fenton is kind of a cheaper, more affordable alternative to Sunset Hills, which is right next to it on the other side of the Merrimack. The median sold price in Fenton is $256,000, and in Sunset Hills, it's $590,000. So Sunset Hills is one of the more expensive places to live in South County. Fenton is more affordable with lower prices and right next to it. And if you want cheaper, more rural, more affordable than Fenton, check out an area like High Ridge, House Springs, or Arnold. All of those are in Jefferson County, located pretty much right next to Fenton. So that's where you get more rural, leaving St. Louis County, going into Jefferson County. Overall, Fenton has a bunch of options for housing, from your starter home market all the way up to your $1 million houses. Like I said too, easy access to St. Louis City right on I-44. There's also some decent parks you got in Fenton too. There's the Fabic Nature Preserve, and it's right next to the Fenton City Park, which has a ton of sports fields. There's also the Riverside Country Club located right next to them, and there's the Tapawingo Country Club on the other side of the Merrimack River in Sunset Hills. Really beautiful area. Fenton's a great place in St. Louis County with easy access to St. Louis City that offers offers housing at lower prices than some of the expensive parts of West County. So if you're coming to St. Louis, you're checking out Fenton, you want to look at some houses or have some questions for somebody who lives in the area, always feel free to give me a call or shoot me a text. Right there is my cell phone number. Love hearing from you guys, and feel free to connect with me on any social media platforms you use. Check out the Living St. Louis podcast. Again, if there's anything I can do for you, leave a comment down below. Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. So that's going to wrap up this video for today. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.